How y'all doing? Thanks for checking out the video. We're doing another deep dive down the Instagram rabbit hole, checking out some reels that I found to be interesting, some good points that we can discuss and talk about. So thanks for checking out the video. Please like it, subscribe to the channel, and leave a comment. If you got something on your mind, let me hear it, because I'm looking for open dialogue, whether you agree with me, whether you disagree with me. Today we're on the same subject. For the most part, there might be a couple other reels in here, but we're going to start out by talking about someone within the LGBTQ community, a member of Gays Against Groomers, that is in this area to support parents trying to fight against this nonsense and this indoctrination that our children seem to be facing on every corner, dealing with gender ideology. So here we go. I'll let them do the talking.
My name is Meg Martinez. I'm the co-director of chapters with Gays Against Groomers. And why are we here today? We're here to help support the parents and speak up for them and their parents' rights. They are teaching very explicit things to young kids. They're forcing upon an agenda that doesn't necessarily align with a lot of the parents' values and not allowing the parents to opt their kids out of those lessons, which I know most people know our organization is anti-hate, anti-gay. We are not that at all. We just want kids to preserve their innocence as long as possible. We didn't need anybody to teach us our sexuality.
You know, like I comment quite a bit. I like to hear the perspective from the LGBTQ community that's got some sense, that understands that these things that we are talking about doing to our children because of the way they feel at a very early time in their life, these are permanent changes. Mastectomies and, cutting off male parts, and oh my gosh, can you imagine? Listen, I want to thank my mom and dad right now for not thinking that I needed to be a girl when I dressed up as a girl for Halloween that year when I was like 6 or 7. I appreciate you. My daughters appreciate you, because good Lord, I couldn't imagine wanting to be a kid that dressed up as a girl for a year in this day and age. Like you're on the chopping block, like literally. Anyway, I agree that that we need to have a very strict regulation about what goes on in our schools. It is the school's job. First of all, schools were meant to make dummies anyway. The public education system is not here to turn out scholars and Bill Gates and Bezos and Elons. That's not what the school system is here for. The school system was created to make a bunch of worker bees. So that in itself is a different issue, but still, just teach my kid the stuff that they need to learn to become good worker bees, because that's why you're there. Anything outside of that, excelling to be better than a worker bee, any type of sexual identity issues they have, any type of issues dealing with any type of personal matters like that, that's for the parents to decide. That's for the parents to introduce. It's not for the teachers and the school to say, you know what, we're going to have a drag show, or we're going to offer these books in the library that tell kids 500 different ways to have same-sex sex. Because when I was a kid, if there would have been some heterosexual literature in the library that would have told me 50 different ways to have sex with a woman, that would have been a problem. It's no different just because it's homosexual. So just keep it out of schools. All of it. The parents can determine when it is time for their kids to start learning about the birds and the bees, or the bees and the bees, or the birds and the birds, or whatever the fuck they're going to learn about. The first resort is not to hide it from the parents, and the first resort is not to chop body parts off. But increasingly, excuse me, got a couple dogs here. Increasingly, they seem to think that the first line of defense, a kid thinks he's a girl and he's really a boy, try to make him look more like a girl, and vice versa. It's nonsense, it's bullshit, and we're going to go on to the second video.
Have you guys seen Biden's campaign video for...
I may have this video without the chop and the girl pointing her finger like listen to her, listen to her, listen to her. That might be later on in this list. I'm not sure. But if it is, we're just going to listen to it twice. Because outside of this radical gender ideology bullshit that's coming across the wave, the radio and TV waves everywhere we can, is this nonsense that Joe Biden is somehow doing a good job. Yes, we're still rolling. I wanted to let you let that sink in.
For re-election. Talk about gaslighting. You want to stand up for my fundamental freedoms when my fundamental freedoms are eroding under your administration, Joe. But let's see, under you, we've had a record high inflation, high taxes, open borders. Because of that, fentanyl crisis, recession, political persecutions, atrocious Afghanistan withdrawal, lost service members because of that withdrawal, gave the Taliban $85 billion in weapons and military equipment, funding a proxy war, violent crime. You declared 100 million Americans to be domestic terrorists, all from a senile president that couldn't even ride a bike, falls walking down steps, falls walking up steps, creates executive orders to draw attention away from his crime family, can't even speak in full sentences, wants to lick the world, and that's not even all of it. You finishing the job sounds a lot like putting America down for the final count, given your administration's track record. So personally, I don't think I'm interested in continuing along this timeline you have us running for 4 more years.
This dude announces his bid for a re-election campaign on a video. Like, you don't even have the wherewithal to get up live in front of the people that you have been elected to serve and to say, you know what, y'all? I was cool with the first 4 and I want 4 more. You can't even get up live and say that. You have to tape some shit, record some shit. This man is old. This man is senile. Listen, if you told me, if breaking news came out tomorrow that it was discovered that Joe Biden was AI with some face stuff and da-da-da, I would not at all bat an eyelash. I would not, because his terrible gaffes and all of his missteps are for one of 2 reasons. Number 1, he's old as, shouldn't be in that position and is completely out of his element because, like she said, he can't walk up or down a flight of stairs. Remember when they persecuted Trump because he slipped coming down a slippery fucking slope? Remember that? They're still talking about that. They don't even mention Biden's 700 missteps. I need to write a book called Joe Biden, 700 missteps. That's probably not enough. Maybe 1,000 missteps. Either way, not interested in re-electing you, Joe. I'm not even convinced you were duly elected this time. So you can kiss my ass. I will vote for anybody other than you. Anybody. I'll write myself in before I'll vote for you. Not a Joe Biden fan. Moving right along.
Whole Foods needs a union. I can't.
Okay. I thought this was funny. Now, if you have not seen the video that he is mocking right here, then you may not think this is very funny. That video's got millions of views. So I'm hoping if you're here, you've also been there at some point and you've seen the Starbucks worker, the individual, I don't know if he identifies as what, a paper airplane, I don't fucking know, but that person was very distraught about their crazy role at Starbucks, about their crazy schedule, about the crowds that were nonstop, about the fact that they had to work multiple days in a row, long 8-hour shifts. Yes, I said long 8-hour shifts. So this video is a parody to that video. But if you haven't seen it, maybe check it out. If you have seen it, then this will land right in your lap.
I don't survive this anymore. This is like worse than being in Vietnam. I had to work 3 hours yesterday, and we only had 30 minutes for lunch. and I'm a kosher vegan. You know how hard it is to find a restaurant? These
real.
hours are killing me, and I'm a full-time student. I'm majoring in queer knitting and minoring in films from the patriarchy. They made us watch a Woody Allen movie the other day. I was on suicide watch for 5
I just want to let y'all know he said he's majoring in queer knitting.
hours. And I got misgendered again. I was stalking something and someone's like, "Hi, little boy, can you help me get something?" I was like, "Hello, I'm a girl. I have a beard and a bulge."
Beard and a bulge.
They don't offer any support for height challenged queer people. It's like, and I have to stock the bread. I'm gluten intolerant and they make me stock the bread. I can't even reach it. I'm intolerant. And it's like, I know my manager's doing it on purpose because he's a cis straight white male. They don't even give us a break. I tried taking a nap with my...
Sorry, I didn't mean to cut that off, but I think you get the point. I think that embodies basically a large majority of these radical gender ideology individuals that feel like the whole world, the sun rises and sets on their they-them ass. But it doesn't. Moving right along. Another good one. I've seen 1,000 chops of this clip. I have a lot of respect for the 5th grade teacher who stood up on Dr. Phil and told it like it was.
Transgender boys who might not have their own money to go buy tampons, if they're provided free in the bathroom, it's a huge plus.
Men do not menstruate. Only women menstruate. Now, you can call yourself whatever you want.
Don't menstruate, but trans men do menstruate.
No,
Same
they
as
don't.
non-binary people.
Only women.
Menstruating is not exclusive
Yes,
to
it
cis
is.
women. No, it's not.
Yes, it is.
So explain to me as to why my body menstruated at
if
some
your
point
chromosomes
then.
are XX and you're young, you menstruate. If you're XY, you don't.
Correct, but what about trans men and non-binary?
They're
We're
not men.
excluding a whole group of people
They're
who
women
that
dressed
menstruate.
as men. You are not a man. You can pretend to be a man, and that's okay. That's perfectly fine. Live your life. Tell me what a man is.
Well, what's a man to you? You define a man for me.
You have chromosomes that are X and Y. That's what a man is.
So why are we just looking at the science of
The
this
science.
as an
The
example,
science.
Those are-
when we've learned sex and gender identity are they're completely different things.
They're not completely
They
different
are
things.
completely different.
Completely different words.
And sex is what you're born with, the sexual reproductive organs you have. Gender is what you identify with. They're completely
Well, I don't
different
accept that
things.
distinction. You have to argue for it. You're just giving a conclusion. You're just making it up. The people who hate the truth, are because they see the truth as hateful.
Right.
If you want to identify in any way you can, you're free to do so. But that does not mean that the rest.
Transgender boys who
That was a great quote right there. The people that hate the truth see the truth as hateful. Think about that. Moving right along.
It's their plan that the old-timers among us, those of you who have been raised with those old-fashioned and outmoded concepts of patriotism and love of country, that in time, your generation will pass away, or at least become the minority voice.
Yep.
And at the same time, they're catching the younger generations coming up through the high schools and the colleges, like they caught me. And the grand designers are confident that in just a few more years, especially if they can lower the voting age, the political majority of the American people can be conditioned to accept the total abandonment of our national sovereignty. It's their plan that the...
Now, that's a little odd just thrown in there. When I come across these reels, I put the ones up that, speak to me. A lot of what I get on my feed is the transgender ideology because that's what I'm saving. That's what I'm, spending the most time interacting with. And I get a lot about the woke ideology in general. To me, what he's speaking about is the woke ideology in general. Take away love of country, take away patriotism, take away nationalism, take away all that shit. Forget the borders. Everybody can come everywhere, and that's the agenda that they're pushing. And that's the agenda they've been pushing for a long time. This just didn't start last year or 5 or 10 or even 20 or 30 years ago. This has been going on for a long time. And each phase where we get a little bit closer, we get some new shit. Like this transgender chopping off your ding-a-ling and becoming a girl at 13 or 12 years old. This is something new that we're starting to work into. But as the fabric of society erodes, and as we become less and less focused on God and family and country and just all of the things that this nation was founded on, all of the things that, if you're my age right now, if you have any success in this country, and success can be labeled in a lot of different areas, and if you have any type of success, you didn't get it hating America. You didn't get it affirming transgender surgery for 10 or 11-year-olds. This country has been founded on a very solid thing called the Constitution. And along with that, as an extra bonus, we get the Bill of Rights. So those are the things that we are purposely, as a nation, a government, trying to get away from. They are purposely trying to pull you away from the Constitution. They don't want you to have a gun. They don't want you to have free speech. They want you to have free speech if the speech agrees with what they're saying. Then your speech is as free as a bird. But if not, then you don't have any speech at all. Maybe that's the way they get around the whole free speech thing. They just don't let you speak at all. So you don't have to worry about free speech. You get no speech if you don't agree with them. And the further we get down this rabbit hole, the crazier the situations get. That's why it's okay now to give a 12-year-old girl a double mastectomy. That's why it's okay now to turn a young man's penis into a Barbie pouch. That's why these things are okay, because they've slowly been eroding the fabric of society to get us to this point. They always have us fighting against each other. Race, religion, political party, like all of these things. But at the end of the day, we're fucking people. We're all people. We all love the same. We all hate the same. We piss and shit the same. We reproduce the same. We got to earn a living the same. We generate positive and negative experiences the same. The emotions that we have are the same. We're all cut from the same cloth. Although, maybe different parts of the outfit. But the reality of it is, they are doing this shit intentionally. And part of the plan, part of what makes their plan successful, is keeping us divided, right against left. Atheist against Christian, Christian against Muslim, gay against straight. I mean, if there was no disunity between the American people in particular, they couldn't be doing none of this shit. Because we would all be standing by the Constitution. We would all understand the First and Second Amendments to their fullest and be able to live our lives according to what that shit means. But that's not the case, because they have divided us. And that division between us as a group of people, that division is what is allowing them to implement all of this nonsense. This video's gotten long. Let's see. Let's get these last two in.
Have you guys seen Biden's campaign video for
This was the... You know what? I said we need to listen to this again.
Talk about gaslighting. You want to stand up for my fundamental freedoms when my fundamental freedoms are eroding under your administration, Joe. But let's see, under you, we've had a record high inflation, high taxes, open borders. Because of that, fentanyl crisis, recession, political persecutions, atrocious Afghanistan withdrawal, lost service members because of that withdrawal, gave the Taliban $85 billion in weapons and military equipment, funding a proxy war, violent crime. You declared 100 million Americans to be domestic terrorists, all from a senile president that couldn't even ride a bike. Falls walking down steps, falls walking up steps, creates executive orders to draw attention away from his crime family, can't even speak in full sentences, wants to lick the world, and that's not even all of it. You finishing the job sounds a lot like putting America down for the final count, given your administration's track record. So personally, I don't think I'm interested in continuing along this timeline you have us running for 4 more years.
Like I said, I think I put that in here twice. It's good to hear again. Make no mistake about it. Whether you're on the right or the left, Joe Biden is not the choice. Choose anyone else. Choose anyone else. Not Joe Biden. And wrapping everything up.
It's wrong that extreme officials are pushing hateful bills targeting transgender children, terrifying families, and
Sorry, but I'm glad we're going to end this video listening to this dodo bird.
criminalizing doctors. These are our kids. These are our neighbors. It's cruel and it's callous. Not somebody else's kids. They're all our kids.
I don't think they are all of our kids, Joe. They're somebody's kids, but they're not your kids. But more importantly, how unbelievably shallow and disgusting and manipulative to suggest that the only way to support kids who are clearly hurting enough to want to surgically change the very makeup of their body or take hormones that are going to render them infertile and castrate them, that is the only way to love these kids. These people are disgusting in that they genuinely want to destroy your life before you ever go through puberty by making you a hollow shell of who you are supposed to be and calling it love and affirmation. Give me a break.
Just think about that as we end this video. Just think about that. What they are expecting you to go for, the pill they are expecting you to swallow, is the redetermination of any child's biology that doesn't think they agree with it. How in the fuck is this happening in this country? Well, we just talked about it. Division. Purposeful division is why it's happening in this country. Do you know there are way more members of the LGBTQ community that believe, like we believe, that you shouldn't be able to go after a child's genitals if they say that they don't feel like they're in the right body? Do you realize that the vast majority of the LGBTQ community, the ones that I have spoken with, the ones that I have watched, and I have taken the deepest dive that you could take on this without being a professional diver? There are way more people that agree that children and their sexuality and their body parts are off limits. So keep that in mind. Even though it might sound like our voice is the quietest, it is not. It is by far the biggest. It is by far the largest voice. So the goal for us is to make it the most heard. Because as a man said, what was Ben Shapiro? The truth don't give a fuck about your feelings. And with that, we will end this video. I appreciate y'all. Please continue to watch these videos. Please continue to comment on them, share them. Let's talk about them. You agree with me, you disagree with me, let me hear it. I appreciate y'all. Like, subscribe, hit the notification bell, all that, this and that, and blah, 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 blah. I appreciate y'all. Oh, I'm still recording. I thought I had stopped. Bye.